You are watching the number one podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Sean Paul Leek.
And together we are Break. And Jean Paul is NXT, today, and another episode of the Wednesday Night Wars. But this show actually was a lot better than the shows that we had in the past. It's more watchable, and it's the fallout for NXT Takeover War Games. So it was pretty good. New storylines, a few returns. So it was a pretty interesting show to watch.
What's the one thing that we've been saying here for the longest time? NXT is good. They have the foundation, but they're missing the main event. They're missing the heavy hitters. Boom. Finn Balor was back tonight. He spoke. Karrion Kross was back tonight. There's the spoilers. There was the two big returns. Scarlett also, she was with Karrion as well. So, you have these three people coming back legit, and that's what we said we're missing. We're missing the main event guys. And then we saw them. So, and that's what it felt. And we also see new storylines. Kushida came back as well, so we can't forget him. So, this was a really good show. I liked it. I think now they're getting back on track because they have them all their pieces, all the characters are now back. They're in play. Besides the ones who are unfortunately injured at War Games, but now I think NXT is going to start to, they're like, hey, AEW, you're not running away with the ball yet. We're going to try to catch up.
We're going to try to get it back. So absolutely right. So thank you so very much, family, for the love, support, and all the comments that we get for all that. Thank you so very much. Don't forget to check that out with Jean Paul, the egg, best booker in the business, Monday Night Raw review. The Fiend has always the right answer. They keep brewing that story, they keep cooking it. I'm interested, in know what's going to happen, what Alexa Bliss is going to be playing right there. Randy Orton is playing a good heel. I like this, where it's going, more build-up for TLC. Aside of this, like you said in the review, everything else sucks because AJ Styles and McIntyre, we kind of know who's keeping the title that day. So let's start with me talking about the return of this guy. Finn Balor, he comes back. He actually had a microphone, and he says that he's finally ready. War Games is over, and the alliances don't care anymore. They're not important anymore because the champ is back. What do you think about Finn Balor coming back?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just to start our review here, Finn Balor coming back is definitely one of the major things this show needed. Not only because he's the champ, but because I think he's one of the best promos on this brand. And just, he's legit. The guy's a hell of a wrestler, and, it's good to have him back. And I like what he said, War Games is over. All the team sports, that's all in the past. Now, hey, the man is here, the singles champ. I'm back. And he really didn't get to cut too much of a promo because who came out to beat him? To meet him, excuse me. It was, Pete Dunne. And that was cool. The one thing I want to say is Pete Dunne, I don't know what kind of spray tan he's using, if he uses like 3 bottles, before he comes out every segment, but he looks a little orange, a little jaundiced. Maybe he should lay off that, just look a little bit more natural.
And the bun, for me, the bun.
Oh, no, I don't mind the hair, but I mean the skin. Like when your skin is more orange than the hair, that's when something's going on here.
More orange than an orange.
This was good when he called him out, and this is the matchup I want to see, at least at some point. Whether the belt's on the line or not, I just want to see this match because, like Pete Dunne said, you and I are cut from the same cloth. I had this, awesome performance at War Games, and he pretty much said that he doesn't need to prove anything, to give him the match. And I'm this is good. But then in typical WWE fashion, and it did end well, but at the time I was like, really? Because, you have to send out half the roster because then, take us through who came out next.
No, after that, Kyle O'Reilly came out. And, Kyle O'Reilly, he said that, like, he said War Games, was another opportunity for him to once again show that NXT is the land of undisputed era, and it's time to finish unfinished business, finish unfinished business with Finn Balor. So, like you said, like, everything is kind of like, okay, like, it's like typical fashion that everybody...
Yeah, and what did you think about his line when he's like, yeah, Finn, you beat me in the match, and, you retained your title, but did you really win? I'm like, yeah, he did. He didn't have to forfeit the belt. He's still the champ. It's like, yeah, Kyle, he did win. So I don't get that line. I was like, okay.
The line that, like, he's saying, well, for now, you just gotta, like, drink meals from, like, a straw. I think he said that, so that was cool. Yeah. I like that. See, like, right there also then, Damian Priest comes out, so like this was different because we actually said in the review for NXT Takeover War Games that is in the channel for you guys, we said, where's Damian Priest go from this? So like he joins this, like kind of lobbying for championship opportunity. So also, like he says that he will be a great opportunity for him and for Finn Balor to have a showdown. They will tear the house down. And Priest said, he won my title match. So after that, Finn Balor doesn't even say anything else, and he just goes. He just runs. He doesn't go away. He just leaves.
Yeah, because all three guys are bickering in the ring. You have Kyle O'Reilly's making fun of Pete Dunne's accent. They're all going back and forth. And Balor starts to leave. They're like, where are you going? And he's like, first of all, you assholes didn't even let me finish. I'm out here with a mic in my hand, and you want to interrupt me. So he's like, the Prince is going to worry about the title, and whoever is up next to get the Finn rub, he's like, that's for Regal to figure out. Yes, and as he goes to walk away, you hear, down, 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 or whatever. My awful rendition of Karrion Kross's music. You hear that playing, and then Scarlett comes out, and we had a good camera angle for Scarlett, so thank you for that. So she comes out, and
good cake. Yes,
so she comes out and just stares at him, and he's like, and you tell Karrion when he's ready, I'm ready. So I like that, how Balor kind of looks at all these other guys as like, he's the cat and they're the mice. But then when he's, Karrion is another cat. He sees Karrion on his level. Like, yeah, you guys, figure out what you're going to do. But Karrion, I'm ready for you. So I like that. That's the money matchup. Like I said, they got to build to that. You can't give us this right away. Build towards it. And I like what Priest said too. He looks at Scarlett. I thought he was going to invite her to the hot tub, with Joey Janela's girlfriend, but no. He says to her, he's like, hey, where you are? Excuse me. He's like, do you send your man, or does your man send you here to do his business? Like, is he a pussy? What's going on? Yeah. And she just kind of gives him this look, like, okay, like, say what you will.
We'll see. Say what you said. Say what you will. Yeah, just watch out for what's coming to you.
Yeah, and I like this. And to talk about a segment later on is okay. Now it's like Priest lost the he lost the belt. He lost the rematch, whatever, triple threat for the belt. Now he moves to the main event. But then later on we see him go back to the mid card belt, and it's like I don't like playing both. Just put him in one or put him in the other. But and then this kind of feud with Karrion as well. So Damian Priest, he's all over the place.
The one thing is like he can actually play both, because we don't know what's going to happen with the title picture. Who's going to get that opportunity, because it was mentioned. Remember, like January 6th, the Evil NXT, and that is when Finn Balor is going to defend the title. So we don't know. I was actually hinting at triple threat match. It will be these guys Dunne, Priest, and Kyle O'Reilly to challenge against Balor. But we'll see what they do. Like Balor says, that's for Regal to take care of. In WWE fashion, it will be probably a triple threat. We don't know, but now with like what happened later on with Damian Priest, like you said, it's just like I guess they don't have enough guys, which I think they do. But the Priest is just like, oh, we're just lost in the shuffle. Let's make you have both, or like at least a mini feud with like a returning Karrion Kross, but like a solid start of the show. Like you said, we get to see the main players, a little bit of like mid-card kind of main event guys. Good stuff on that. So now let's go to the next match. And this match was actually cruiserweight stuff. So it's good. Like WWE or at least NXT, you see the writing team this time. They actually put more effort into this show. So like you see like Jake Atlas. Jake Atlas going against Isaiah Swerve Scott. This was a pretty good match. And now remember, Atlas is a man with a purpose. Atlas knows what he wants. And what is that? The Cruiserweight Championship. Isaiah Swerve Scott was the only person that came close to actually get the title from Santos Escobar. The match, like they gave us, absolutely amazing. And in the end, Jake Atlas wins. It was a roll-up, right? It was a pinning combination.
Yeah, he rolled them up, and I like this match. I texted you beforehand. I was like, "Oh, I think Atlas is going to have a heel turn here." I just felt I'm like, okay, maybe they'll do something with that. I could smell the heel turn, but I couldn't smell who it was on, because after this thing, like you said, it was a roll-up. Fantastic match. It was a good opening match for the show. I really like both these guys. I'm a fan of both of them. And, Atlas won, and, they were kind of, talking smack, no, not that awful show. No. But they were, they were talking a little bit to each other. And then, but Atlas, he kind of stuck out his hand. Yes. A sign of respect, almost like
sportsmanship, yes.
Yeah, like respectful rivals kind of deal. But Swerve just gave him this dirty look and just rolled out of the ring, and he wasn't having any of it. So I don't know, maybe Swerve is doing the heel turn. Maybe he's frustrated. He couldn't beat Santos. He's trying to get back on track. Even Wade said, we haven't seen Swerve Scott for a couple weeks. Okay, here's his return. Boom, he loses to Atlas. That's the way I would have done it too. I would have had Atlas go over just because, they're slowly pushing him, and it's a different opponent for Santos, even though that Stallion guy, which isn't Matt Riddle, but some other guy on 205 Live, is supposed to be number one contender. But they said that 3 weeks ago, so I don't know when the hell this guy's actually going to challenge.
Or they're going to have the match on 205 Live, because we don't watch that. I don't think anybody watches that show anyway.
No.
So it was good. I like the fact that, like Isaiah Swerve Scott is like, in his days as babyface, like he understands that like being babyface is not helping him out. So he has to like kind of like turn to the other side, go to the dark side, and look for better like results. And I like that, because in life sometimes if you keep playing the same role, you know,
and he doesn't have to be like a typical wrestling heel, but he can be like, hey, I lost, I keep losing, you know, I'm angry, I'm pissed, you know, because that's how real life you would get.
Yes,
not everybody's gonna have a smile on their face and when they lose and go, oh, I'll get them next time. No, sometimes you get pissed.
Yes, exactly. So then Tommaso Ciampa cut a promo on Cameron Grimes. He's like, oh, well, this guy has a lot of potential. He's tough because he's loud, but it's time to silence him. So you see that they're going to have a match today in this show. I don't know what Tommaso Ciampa is trying to do with this, so I was just wondering, especially to a losing Cameron Grimes. So I was like thinking...
I don't understand why he called out. That to me was awkward, but then when we saw with the match, the whole Cameron Grimes thing wasn't really the main focus, which this was a part of the show where I'm like, Ciampa has... You know, he's legit. You could do stuff with him. Like Pete Dunne versus Ciampa, I think would have been a cool matchup. Yeah, you could have done something with, you know, which we'll talk about when we get there. But at the time, the promo, I'm like, okay, you know, maybe, you know, I just want to see Cameron Grimes win something. He's the guy who, when he has like squash matches and stuff, they really push this guy and make him look legit. And then anytime he's in a feud with somebody with the name, Cameron Grimes always looks like a loser, and he, you know, always loses.
Does it sound like Timothy Thatcher? Maybe.
It does, but Timothy Thatcher doesn't even get wins over jobbers. He just does his little classes and then loses.
He only wins at his school. Like we have a regular match, doesn't have that. So let's go to like tag team action, and this was like a triple threat, and like Jean Paul says, I think Triple H actually watches. Road break, so thank you so very much for that. Hunter Helms Hamsley, Paul Levesque, Triple H, Sarah Rising, because it was like there's young veterans ever rise, and I think they tried to rise today, and also like Imperium, so the three guys were in the ring. Not the two guys and the other one has to tag to have some action. I like this. It was a pretty cool triple threat match, and you see that out of these three, maybe will be the number one contender for like, you know, what will be like Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, at least for now. Because like, I don't think the Undisputed Era with what we're going to mention in a little bit. Now I don't think they're going to have a match in the near time soon.
Yeah, this match, I liked it. Imperium to me is, you know, they're the stars. There's the Grizzled Young Veterans, you know, they're a pretty good tag team. I love their finisher, Ticket to Mayhem, and just, you know, the look that they have as well. But Imperium, to me, like I said, they're the stars. I love Fabian Eichner. You know, they even said the guy flies like a cruiserweight and he hits like a heavyweight. And I always make the comparison. If Kurt Angle and Cesaro had a baby, it's Fabian Eichner. You know, that's the guy. He's so legit. Marcel Bartel, he's obviously the talker. He's like, I would say, maybe the leader of the tag team, you know, and he's no slouch either. Everrise, I would like to see a little more. I know they were like the coward heels hiding on the outside, you know, like waiting to strike, and they were always like hitting their finisher or hitting a big move after one of the other teams did try to steal the pin. And, you know, when it came down to the end of the match, Imperium hit a big, I think it was Imperium, they hit a big move, and then Everrise came in and tried to steal the pin, and I thought...
It wasn't the European bomb. It was something like that.
Yeah.
But actually just kind of like...
No, he did. I think Eichner did some kind of like DDT, and Marcel had him like lifted up, and he did like a DDT off it. But yeah, Everrise came in, and they tried to steal the pin, and I thought, okay, this would have been a good win for Everrise just to kind of... you know, push them a little bit. They're not going to win the belts. They're going to be a team like Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. If they win the belts, it'll be in 5 years from now.
So we got to wait, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, it would have been a good win just because nobody would have saw it coming. Yes. And it would have been like, then you could have maybe did a singles match with them and the team they pinned, and then that team could have got over. But like you see, it was Ticket to Mayhem, you know, on obviously the jobber team in this match, and, you know, the Grizzled Young Veterans win, which I don't know what you're going to do with them. Again, I'd have them be on NXT UK or Imperium. I wouldn't have both of these teams be here. I think NXT UK could benefit from having one of these teams back, so we'll see. Hopefully, with them winning, that might mean Imperium is going to go back and join Walter and Wolf.
And remember that you said that Shawn Michaels, he's a really huge fan of this guy, so that's probably like, oh, no, man, we're skipping in America. You know, let him go.
You got to do the eye thing where one's looking here and then one's looking this way.
Both of mine look at the same time. I'm not Perry Saturn. You know, like a good match. And like you said, out of the three teams, Great Young Veterans, remember they were having the push before pandemic, and then so we can come back.
They mentioned they won the Dusty Classic and everything.
Yeah. So these guys had a lot of
they were in the finals of it.
And the finals, but it's they were very close. So now let's go to the casualties of what happened on the NXT Takeover War Games, because, like you said, we found out a lot of injuries that we didn't know, and that is, for example, like Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish, he said something about the tricep, right?
Yeah, he tore his tricep. Dakota Kai, she got really messed up on the Eclipse.
Yes. Like you saw that thing, it was like, how can you not? How can you not suffer from that? Also, Candice LeRae, like her arm was broken. Also, like she suffered from that, and so a lot of people got really messed up because of the intensity, the brutality, and it's not Rhea Ripley, but like just the consequences of what can happen after like these big matches like that. Very good though, we both said in the review, like the men's completely stole the show. The women's, like you said in the review also, maybe like 10 more minutes, but like extremely good stuff. But again,
one thing I want to make of note too is Pat McAfee on his show and his podcast and everything. He had a neck brace around his neck. He was selling, the injuries. Not that he's like, oh, my neck's hurt, but just selling the War Games match, which, unless a wrestler is legit injured, none of them ever sell a match. So you got to give McAfee credit.
Oh yeah.
At least for that, like nobody, Drew. You don't see Drew walking around in public when his jaw was broken with like a thing on his jaw. You know what I mean? He only sells it on Monday nights. So
yeah, exactly. Like, are you good? He's like, oh yeah, I'm good.
And then as soon as 11 o'clock, he's like, oh yeah, I'm good. Let's have a pint.
Yeah, he's like, are you good, Drew? Is it 11? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm good, man. So now let's go to Jean Paul. I don't have a problem with you. I just don't like you, man. Like Io Shirai was, Tony Storm is kind of in a promo backstage, and like Io Shirai just shows out of nowhere because Tony is saying something about Ember Moon, and that is the reason why she chose to be on Candice LeRae's team. But then Io shows up out of nowhere, and she says those lines. It says, I don't have a problem with you, I just don't like you, and then they start feuding. Which I don't know if that signifies that Tony is going to be the number one contender. But at least you see the feud is right there, going back to the days of the Mayon Classic, the days of like Stardom, the days in Japan where like they fought like 10,000 times. But this I love. There's no reason why I shouldn't love this. These two girls are amazing. So this was for me one of the big, like most important segments of the show because they leave you with the intrigue. Who's going to be the number one contender?
Yeah, I really like this a lot too, just for everything you just touched on, especially the Mae Young Classic, because that is what the WWE fans are familiar with. A lot of them, unless you're a fan of these women, you might not even know they have history outside of that. But, with that match alone, Toni Storm won. She won the Mae Young Classic. So now this is perfect for Io to beat her and get, her revenge. I'm all for that matchup. The one thing I didn't like about this segment is I know Toni Storm, she was calling out Ember Moon before Io showed up, but I don't like how Ember Moon showed up and was throwing Toni Storm around, and then it was like,
the cake picture I do like,
Oh yeah, no, that's always appreciated, but it's like I don't like that because it's like one-on-one. Normally it's the heels who do this.
Yes.
It would be like let's say Raquel came out and threw Io into the steps, and then it's like, oh, I pinned you at War Games, blah, blah, blah. If you should have a problem with anybody, it should be with me. And then you can have Ember come out, make the save, and then that'll set up, what we saw to be the main event. But, hey, who am I besides the best booker in the business?
That's true. And then, like you said, she also hit the moonsault, and she did it decent, pretty nice.
Yeah, so, it was only half on the legs this time, not fully.
So, I think that because of the trash can, she's actually fixing the aim a little bit, or the target, so it was pretty good. The one thing, like you said, Tony is supposed to be the heel, so she should be the one going over. Because, right now, Tony kind of looks really crappy. So it's like,
that's what I mean. Bringing out Ember Moon, and then that gives the advantage to the baby faces in this segment. I didn't care for it, but, if as long as we get Toni Storm versus Io Shirai one-on-one match, I'm all good.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully that's what they end up doing because, if not, I don't know what they're going to do with that. But, let's go really quick to a match that, like you said, didn't really have a lot of meaning because of, we mentioned what was going to happen. But it's actually the reason why we saw, the rivalry with Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher is going to still going on. You said it. You said that. It's probably they're going to have maybe a few more weeks of that. And that was, Tommaso Ciampa against Cameron Grimes. This match was, pretty simple, decent, and of course Tommaso Ciampa went over. But also, we got to see the students from Timothy Thatcher. I saw that, and Ciampa got the win. But then we got to see also Timothy Thatcher one more time. he was trying to attack Thatcher, but Cameron Grimes, I think he got injured, like his leg got injured, right?
Yeah, well, to go back, I mean, this match was good. Again, Ciampa was clearly going to be the one who wins this thing. I do, Cameron Grimes, I don't get it. Like, they pushed the guy, and then he has these matches, and, he can't win. This would have been a perfect opportunity for, excuse me, I was going to say, Cameron Grimes, too many names here with all these guys in this match. Cameron Grimes would have been the perfect one to get the win here. Because you remember, like last week, it was not deception, distraction. It was like, distraction. He sent the student out there. That should have been the one to distract Ciampa. Cameron Grimes should have been able to hit the cave-in. I don't know if I don't think anybody's kicked out of the cave-in. So, he could have hit that 1, 2, 3, got the win, and then that would have been, added more fuel to the fire. Because why would Ciampa want to go after Thatcher? He beat him.
Yeah.
If I beat you once, I'm good. I don't need to beat you again. What do I have to prove? I already kicked your ass. So it's like, that should have, you cost him a match against Cameron Grimes. That would have made more sense. Maybe they just don't want to see Cameron Grimes lose or win, excuse me. So I don't know, but, Cameron Grimes, I'm a big fan of his. I love that, like, that power slam or whatever you want to call it that he does.
When he turns, yes.
Yeah, that, like, Wade Barrett said, like, it defies physics. Like, the move doesn't make any sense, but, it's really good. And to see this matchup, I mean, yeah, Thatcher and Ciampa had a legit match, I thought, and I think they'll have more legit matches, but is it a feud I want to see? Not unless Thatcher goes over.
Yes, that's the main reason. And, they tried to replicate what they did last week, Ciampa looking at Thatcher's match, and Thatcher was actually watching the match with Grimes and Ciampa. So they tried to do all these things, but like you said, Timothy Thatcher needs to win at least one match, otherwise we're not going to care. We're not going to care.
And then, like you said, Grimes got in his face. He grabbed the leg. He, did one of those numbers to the ankle, and he was selling the leg injury. So it's like, hey, maybe if you could do that to guys who are actually main event, you would get somewhere.
Yes, exactly. Like, can you start applying that, to the guys that are actually meaningful? But, that's not what happens. We got to see a little bit more of, like, this intriguing storyline with Xia Li and Boa. They're both training, but the training is really gory, is really intense, is gruesome. Is like those kind of trainings that like we got on Road Break just to like get the audience ready for us. So like you see Master Roshi or we see Mr. Miyagi, one of those guys, like or the Kung Fu like guys, and like it's like faster, 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 keep going. And then we got to see Boa like this, like so this is what happens after you watch Monday Night Raw.
That's how it feels.
That's how you feel. That's been done, destroyed. So please, family, give us a little bit more love because we do this for every single one of you. But like for you at least, I think that is really interesting where this is going because I don't know who can be the master or the mastermind of this situation. I don't know who's behind all of this.
This is all I'm going to say. This is really intriguing. I liked all the blood in it. Just how intense it felt. But I don't know how this is going to carry over to an actual NXT wrestling show. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. I don't know how you're going to, like, okay, they go through this training. They're going to come on the show. Are they going to just really beat the hell out of people because they've gone through hell in this training? Are we going to see Xia Li have a match against Caden Carter? And if the match lasts longer than 30 seconds, then I'll be like, what the hell was the point? You got to have these two come out of this and be studs and be kicking people's asses. And I don't know if they're going to push Xia Li and Boa like that. So that's what I mean. I don't know. But so far I like it. But, we got to wait to see what the end result before I give it the final verdict.
Well, yeah, it is, kind of like in anime. It's like those big trainings, like, you just get ready for something big. And if it doesn't materialize into that, what's the point of doing all of that? So like you said, it's like, I just want to see who's behind all of this. What character is going to be introduced, what wrestler or like, manager, something that, who's going to be the guy that is going to carry, like, or this going to guide these two guys to finally success? And that's what I should say. For Boa, maybe Cruiserweight, and for Xia Li, like a women's championship. Imagine, like, Io against Xia. That should be a good match. Yes. So let's go now to the Garganos. They have a, like, celebration, pretty improvised. We got to see Johnny C, like Candice holding the arm because it's broken. And we got to see the two people that are behind them helping them win matches, Indy Hartwell and Austin Theory. There was a video like that came out right the same moment that Austin Theory showed up on NXT TakeOver War Games. Him doing some stuff, you guys want to see it, check it out. We don't have it, we don't want to see it, that's for you guys to watch on your personal time. And this is how they just came out. And
that'll be on the Rope Break Triple HL, but that's on a different video viewing.
Yeah, it's in a different platform too.
That's
patronize for that. Yes, exactly. So Johnny has the mic and he says, right now in this very ring, kind of Vince McMahon, he says that is the future and the present of NXT. All these 4 guys, and Gargano is just pretty much saying that finally what like he's been saying for months is finally materializing in him, at least because he's the 3-time North American champion. Candice led her team to be Shotzi Blackheart's team, and with the help of these guys. And then he mentions like the amount of injuries, like is like he said like he got a busted lip and all of that. There was a lot of consequences that came from that, Candice and everything. But then Gargano like also like had like one of the bones is a little like not broken but like sore and all of those. And then Damian Priest came out, Paul, and he actually delivered a gift. He delivered a gift, and that was like this thing. Or like Gargano gave him that, and he's like Shotzi Blackheart's like doll, and that was the segment for the time being. Then Damian Priest showed up, and then we got, you said, because he ran his mouth, what happened?
Yeah, he comes out, he calls out Gargano, and then Karrion Kross shows up, and that was the thing, because when he came out, the whole time I'm thinking, if he's challenging for the belt, I'm like, this better end with Kross coming out to be like, okay, Damian, no, you're not in the mid-card no more. You're having a singles feud with Karrion Kross. And that's exactly what we got. And that was good because that's, hey, Damian Priest, he was North American champ. He could maybe be North American champ again, but let's see some new people. You have so many people on this NXT roster that could be challenging for that belt. Again, Cameron Grimes should be one. Timothy Thatcher should be one. But instead, those guys just lose.
Bronson Reed, we haven't seen from him.
Yeah, Bronson Reed, Kushida, and we did see Kushida tonight a little later on, but this is the feud I want to see because both these guys, they both have that like kind of demonic, just kind of like creepy but cool, dark side gimmick, and I think the two of them going after each other will be good, especially if you have Priest making comments at Scarlett. I think that'll get under Karrion's skin and will add more fire to the feud and everything. So this will be good. I like this, but to skip back a little bit with the Garganos, I'm not really feeling the Johnny heel turn as much as I was maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. To me, it's a little stale, especially now you're adding all this group when it was them, the power couple, and it was like just the two of them, and it was like they're gonna run NXT. I'm like, that's cool. You had Indy Hartwell. It's like, okay. You had Austin Theory. Now this is like the Nightmare Family for me. It's like you had too many people. I was fine with it, just a couple, but. We'll see. The main thing from this is I like this. Karrion Kross, he beats up Priest. Him and Scarlett go back to the hotel room, ooh.
And then they have ooh nights. Yep, they have some love.
I mean, that's badass. Karrion Kross is legit, and the show definitely feels a lot more special with him being back.
Yes, and also like you said, it's not going right away to Finn Balor, so they're kind of cooking that in really slow mo. They're going to have it, like you said, maybe right after that title defense on January 6th, and then maybe they can resume to maybe it can lead up to WrestleMania or the first takeover, like before the Royal Rumble. It can be something along those lines, which is really good. Then out of that, we had like a backstage promo, like a segment with Pete Dunne that he goes after. He's just walking, and then you see Killian Dane. Killian Dane out of nowhere starts beating him up. So I don't know because they're like British. I just don't know, like they have passed. But
well, no, come on. I know we watch a lot of wrestling. Remember, he slammed his head in the car door.
Yes. Yeah. That's why. So he's going to have revenge, and they had a match. This match was actually pretty good, though. I really like this. Like, a lot of action. And I thought that, like, Killian Dane was about to win a few times, but at least they did some justice to Pete Dunne. And we got to see a little bit of our boy, Drake Maverick. I don't know why, like, he's there. For me, like, Drake Maverick takes all the legitness away from Killian Dane, but like in the end, just Pete Dunne won the match. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I would have rather. I know Pete Dunne was the one who did it. I believe who kicked the car door or slammed the door, but
yes.
I would have rather had these two Dane and Maverick go after the tag team champs because they're technically a tag team, and the last time we saw them working together, Killian Dane and Maverick were getting along. So it's like, okay, now maybe have them beat another tag team or something and make them go after the titles. Be like, hey, you had me off TV for a couple weeks, I'm coming for you. I want those belts. Make it legit because having this match with Pete Dunne. Obviously, in the world of kayfabe, you don't know, but Pete Dunne wasn't going to lose this thing. They're not going to have him call out Finn Balor, and probably be in a number one contenders match and then lose to Killian Dane. And also, we've seen these guys wrestle before. We've seen Pete Dunne win. So this was nothing new. With Maverick coming out, like I said, I don't get it. I don't know. But Pete Dunne, this was a match. It was like, okay, I guess Killian Dane, Drake Maverick, they're back on TV. Hooray. But, I was like, okay.
Is that mean that they're going to be like the tag team champions? Probably not, like you said, because this is not materializing. This is not making them look like a team per se, or like you will think that they will have a championship match, because they're not really fighting teams anymore. I will keep believing that if they keep having some tag team matches and, like you said, developing like the storyline together, like the same moves.
Yeah, the only team they really feuded with was Ever-Rise and then Dunne.
And that's what happened. Yeah, and bitter end 1, 2, 3. Pete Dunne gets the win. Which is the right thing to do, because like you said, if he's going to be in line for like a championship opportunity, there's no way that he can lose. So let's go on to the main event pretty quick, and that was Raquel Gonzalez and Amber Moon. And this was actually a pretty decent match, but of course, I actually had doubt. I was maybe Amber was going to go over because of the thing that happened at War Games, but now clearly you can see that like the woman that is being pushed is Raquel. Pretty good match. I like all the intensity, all the the holds that they had with each other. I like the suplex, because the Amber Moon is a little short, but the fact that she was able to pull that to do that move on Raquel, it was pretty good. But in the end, we got to see the big chokeslam one more time, and Raquel gets the win, because like Raquel, like you said, I think that's the woman that is going to get a NXT Women's Championship opportunity, which is good. And I think that they're trying to have this year her year, at least the end of it. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I think she's going to be like the next, maybe like Rhea Ripley. I don't think she's going to be pushed as good as Rhea was, but I think it's like, okay, she's going to be the next big powerhouse. And I think, the end of 2020, going into 2021, I think it's going to be her year. But this match was really good. I liked it again. I think it would have made a little bit more sense if you kind of would have booked it maybe how I explained it earlier, but then that also would have meant that they booked the main event while the show's going on, which I think is stupid. You should already have your main event in place before the show starts. But this was really good. I like this. I like Ember Moon. I like Ember Moon's wrestling, but then when she cuts a promo and talk, I like her less. And it's not that she says anything bad. I just feel like it's not believable. I don't know. But she's a hell of a wrestler. So I really like her in the ring and everything. I like the gimmick, and everything. I liked it before when she was on NXT the first time, but it's still pretty good. And this was a good match. Raquel was the right winner. Just one thing to make note of before that, the match next week, it's the tag match. Is it?
Yes, we're going to have a tag team match. It's going to be Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory going against Leon Ruff with Damian Priest. But knowing the thing that we just mentioned about Damian Priest, then we got to see a returning Kushida. And like you said, like the picture with Leon Ruff and Kushida looks so ripped.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that. Kushida probably felt good standing next to Leon Ruff. He's like, "Yep, that's right." That looks like Hulk Hogan standing next to Vince McMahon. But this that was good. Good to see Kushida return. And this was a good main event. Raquel wins. The only spot I didn't like is like when she did like the power bomb the first time. Yeah. And then, like, she held her up there for, 20 seconds, and then Ember reversed it, and then, she just hit the move again right away. It was just like, well, then why didn't you just hit it right
well, why do you counter? I like also, like, the DDT that, like, Ember Moon did, like, the tornado DDT, or, like the running DDT that she does, really cool move.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, Ember Moon's a hell of a wrestler, and I love the counter to the Eclipse, too, when she caught her.
Yes.
It was really good, and Raquel, I think, is getting better. From the first match we saw with her to this match and like at War Games and everything, you can definitely see the improvement, I feel. And this was a solid episode of NXT. I definitely enjoyed this probably a lot more than the last couple
of weeks. Then we got to see Toni Storm for a bit. We got to see Toni Storm. She was actually going to attack Ember Moon because of the stuff that happened, but then we got to see her return in Rhea Ripley also. Like, she came back and like to kind of look for more, like, to go against Raquel one more time. They had a stare down. You see that's, like, I think the main feud that is going to be, like, okay, whichever wins from the two of you is going to be the number one contender. So, like, they still brewing that, and I think Raquel is going to go over this time, which is good.
And I hope that's the case. And the one thing is, I just wish the show would have ended with Raquel getting the pin, standing there. Camera zooms in on her. Okay, legit. We see the NXT logo go off the air. You don't need to have every match ending with heat. I say the same thing on AEW. Not every match needs to end with a beatdown. Nobody needs to come out at the end of every single match
Yes.
and beat down the winner or whatever. Because the match should have been Ember Moon's a former NXT champ. Raquel Gonzalez pinned her. That should have been the focus. Oh, wow, Raquel pinned an NXT champ at War Games. She pinned an NXT champ here. Instead, Hulk Hogan had to come down and make the save. And it's like, okay, really? It's the same thing.
So you're shifting the focus.
It's like Hogan always had to get the rub. Randy won, or Ultimate Warrior won, but let me hold up this.
Hogan has to come out and hold the hand. Now, I agree with you. Like, that's the one thing is like when the match is over, it's just over, and they just let it go like that. Don't just have more stare downs. Have just video packages. You have social media right now.
Yeah,
have them on the internet.
And because of what you said, we said, maybe Toni Storm, and that might be the next match, and maybe Toni versus Ember, or maybe it's going to be Raquel versus Rhea. We have no clue who the number one contender is, and that's the problem. It should be we kind of know who the number one contender is. Like, this is the main feud to be number one contender. And then this other feud over here is maybe going to be the next contender, or maybe that person who wins that feud is going to challenge the loser of the number one contender match. And then if they win that, then you know what I like?
Yeah, like they kind of like they go with each other, who depending who wins and who loses. I agree with that. So that was the episode of NXT. A lot of things I see. We had to see a lot of development, a lot of new stories. Main feuds are finally getting set up, big returns. It helps the show. I think it's going to do bigger numbers than the ones from last week. So good stuff. So, thank you so very much for being with us. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for all notifications, and also where they can find us.
You can find us on Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, right here, the home of the number one podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break.
Absolutely, and tomorrow we have double feature because we have AEW Dynamite and NXT UK. So a lot of Rope Break for you guys. And, Jean Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...